Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are here with another episode of our Songwriter Spotlight, being joined today by Trannie Anderson. Trannie is joining us from her house down in Nashville. She has written songs for artists like Nate Smith, Megan Patrick, uh, Lainey Wilson, of course. So we're really excited for her to join us. So, Trannie, how are you today?
Doing good, just enjoying my morning coffee.
That's right. That's right. We appreciate you joining us. Glad to get that caffeine motivation in for the day. How's everything going down in Nashville? I know it's been busy for you lately.
It's been good. I just got back to Nashville yesterday. I was gone all weekend in Oklahoma on tour with Lainey, and she was playing some casino shows. So me and Dallas Wilson were traveling with her. So I haven't gotten to be in Nashville much this week, but yeah, Nashville's the weather's nice outside and a little hot.
Yeah, things have been kind of busy like that a lot for you lately. I imagine with all the recent success. With obviously you've got the Heart Like a Truck that kind of blew up over the last year with Lainey and some other stuff in the works. So how do you kind of like unwind after kind of being so busy all the time?
I think right now in my life, I'm 30 years old, and so I have a lot of energy right now. And we don't have kids yet. And so like for me, um, I'm really enjoying moving fast and living in the fast lane and doing the traveling and like playing the shows, going to the shows. I'm very much enjoying it. But if I'm gonna unwind, um, I like to play golf. I like to just hang out with my husband at home. So
Nice.
I guess that's how I unwind these days. But I don't need to do much of it though because I'm having fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you're an avid golfer, right? Like that's something that you like really enjoy to do.
It's my favorite hobby. I've played since I was a little kid. My mom played professionally and was a head golf coach at SMU in Dallas, Texas. And so I grew up with a putting green in my backyard, and that's just like always been my go-to hobby since I was a little kid.
And you grew up down in Waco, Texas, right?
I did.
Stayed around there for a little while. Went to college at Baylor, just right in the hometown. Uh, so I guess when you decided to leave and make the move to Nashville, was that difficult?
Um, it's difficult to leave when you don't have family somewhere, but I think for me, I had dreamed about moving to Nashville for so long. I mean, I was a 10-year-old kid going, I'm going to be a songwriter someday in Nashville, Tennessee. I just like knew that that's what I wanted to do. And so I think it had been such a long time coming that I had any fear or homesick I had was like overshadowed by excitement and anticipation for something I dreamed about my whole life.
That's cool. Yeah. And so you mentioned like knowing what you wanted to do at the age of 10. So like were you actually writing songs as a kid? Like did you start at
Yeah.
an early age?
Yeah, I wrote my first song when I was like 6, and I couldn't even write words yet. I like couldn't spell. And so my piano teacher at the time, I would tell her like during the lesson, she kind of let me do whatever I wanted to do because I was so little, you know. And so we'd like do the clap with the cards, you know, like to like learn rhythms, like she was just like doing whatever just to teach me the basics. And I just remember her name was Miss Christie. And then I also had Miss G. I haven't talked about them in a long time. This is kind of funny, but um, they both like kind of just let me do whatever I wanted in piano lessons. I was like, I want to write a song right now. And so they'd write down my lyrics for me and I'd like make up the melodies. And there was a piano in my family's house. It was my grandma's uh, upright piano. And so I would just sit at it and make up little songs. And I like couldn't even like reach the pedals. So yeah, it hit me at like a very young age. And from there, I like made my first EP when I was probably like 10, um,
Wow.
10, 11. So yeah, I mean, I was like writing and recording music before I hit puberty.
So you mentioned your mother was a professional golfer. Where did the music come from? I mean, obviously taking piano lessons at an early age, but are you from a musical family?
No, so the Lord, I mean, I don't have another answer for that because it was very random. It was nice. I mean, we had a piano in our house, so that was something I could sit at anytime I wanted to, and I did. And but no one really played it too much. My mom can like read music a little bit, so she'd occasionally sit down and play a hymn or something. But my parents played music in the house a lot, even though neither of them are really musical. They love music,
Right.
and so music was around me. But I just on my own was very inspired to sit down and create it.
And do you play any other instruments other than the piano, or is that something that's kind of just you were drew to at an early age and kind of stuck with?
It's really, yeah, it's really piano for me. I can play guitar a little bit, but I realized too, and maybe I should learn some more guitar, but for me, I am so proficient, I guess is the word, on the piano that like for writing purposes, there's always somebody else in the room or two other people in the room that play guitar, and I just musically have a different perspective sitting at a piano. And so I've just noticed that like really being best at that and is like where I should live. And I do. And I play up tempo country songs on piano.
That's awesome. Yeah, cool. So when you did move to Nashville, I mean, obviously you said you had no family there. Were you moving there just on your own, or had you already formed connections with people who were already in town? And kind of how did you get there and get settled and really kind of get in with like a group of writers or network with people?
I had formed a few connections. While I was at Baylor, I knew my Baylor mug. I knew I love Baylor. I knew that I was going to move here and do this, and so I knew it would probably be a good idea to intern here or live here during the summers, and so I did. And um, I had a couple connections in the industry that I had interned for or met living here during the summers. But the most helpful thing to me really was there's a family, the Decker family, and Bill and Courtney. They're great. They both went to Baylor. Their kids went to Baylor. And Emily, their daughter, was going there when I was there, and we became good friends. And that was a gift from the Lord for me, for sure, to get really close to that family and live with them during the summers. And they invited me to live with them for a year for free when I moved to Nashville. And yeah, I don't know why they ever did that, but they did. And it was the sweetest gift to me because I was able to focus on songwriting immediately and not only have one or two part-time jobs instead of four things to make everything work out for me. But like not having to pay rent and just pay for feeding myself and gas was like huge
Yeah,
advantage. Yeah.
they obviously saw something. They obviously saw something in you, so that's awesome. That's really cool. Um, and speaking of part-time jobs and working gigs here and there to pay for food and to support yourself. I read somewhere that you started like your own dog walking business or dog sitting
Yeah.
business. Is that right?
Yeah. So my major in college was entrepreneurship. I've always loved small business and come from a family that does that. Like my dad was an entrepreneur, and I'll probably start more businesses in my life too. But that was my first one in Nashville, and I accidentally became the country star dog sitter. And because all of the country stars are friends with each other. So once I started dog sitting for a couple of them and like built that trust and that relationship, they started telling all their friends to use my company. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to start losing business if I say no, um, because I'm already sitting for so and so. So I made it an LLC and I started hiring other songwriters to work for my company as independent contractors. And I ended up having like 15 people in houses every night. So
That's crazy.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like ever this massive, massive company, but it was like for like a homegrown dog sitting company, that was like pretty fun.
Yeah,
Um,
and the other thing is it probably helped you form some relationships with people in the industry too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's indirectly how I got my first publishing deal. I was like writing really hard every day, and so I was ready and I was prepared. Um, but it doesn't matter how prepared or ready you are, you need someone to make the introduction. And so yeah, I mean, a couple of the artists I was sitting for knew I was a songwriter, and after they got to know me and trust me and like me, they were like, hey, like, why don't you play some songs? And Caroline Hobby did that for me, and so did Jennifer Wayne, and they both were like, wow, these are actually really good. So we're going to set you up with some publishers, and I got a publishing deal. So
I
pretty
recognize
cool.
the name Jennifer Wayne. She's in Runaway June, right?
Yes, and she is just the best.
Cool. Yeah. So aside from like the Runaway June group, any other artists that you maybe worked with as a dog sitter that people might recognize?
Oh yeah. um, Dan and Shay, which that's kind of fun. They haven't like announced the track listing for this record yet, but I have a song on their next record that's coming out. And that's pretty cool to go from somebody's dog sitter to writing songs on their, it's just like that's what I dreamed would happen, and it has, and that's just, I'm very thankful for that. But so Dan Shay, Hunter Hayes was one of my main clients. Fred Eldridge was a good client. Trying to remember all of 1,000 Horses. They like the whole band. um, Runaway June. I'm trying to remember who else. Kit Moore for a while. Or I forget if it was Kit Moore's band or Kit Moore. Anyway, and then like some professional athletes ended up using it, like Derrick Henry was our client for a while.
Oh,
Roman Yossi on the Preds. I don't know. Like, it was the weirdest thing. I like never anticipated starting a celebrity dog sitting company, but it
yeah.
happened.
It's got, I mean, I'm sure it's one of those things where like if you're somebody that works in that industry, you have to be very particular about who to trust
Yeah.
inside of your home. So once you find somebody good, I'm sure that it's probably just word of mouth and referral after that. So that's great. That's cool. So that
Yeah.
helps pay the bills for a little while. And
Yeah.
is that company still going, or like what's the deal with it now?
Yeah. I mean, that was something that was important to me too, is I put a lot of time and effort into that, and like it was a win-win for everyone involved. I mean, like the artists and athletes had a company that they trusted, and like didn't really have time to go look for new ones all the time. So that was a win for them. And then on the independent contractor side, like most everyone that sat for my company was a college student or a songwriter that like I personally knew and trusted and had like background checked, and like they were safe people. And and they needed money, so that was a win. And so I was like, man, this it would be really sad for this to go away. When I knew I didn't want to do it anymore because I got so busy with writing that it was just like when you own your own business, like you're just on the clock all the time. And I was getting calls and dealing with things that like I didn't want to be dealing with. And so,
Sure.
and like at that time, it was just like, yeah, I was making income from it, but like it wasn't enough for me to like really, really long term want to grow it and stay in it. So anyway, I'm giving you the long answer to this question, but a girl started managing it for me named Carly Schmidt, and she's a wonderful person and great songwriter, great businesswoman. And I was like, dude, maybe she'll just buy it from me. If I like, if we can figure out a deal and we're both happy with like, you know, the terms. And so we talked about it for like over 6 months, and like our lawyers talked about it, and we like figured out a contract that we were both happy with, and we signed it, and she's owned it for like 2.5 years, I think. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
so it's like,
crazy how that works. So you're in Nashville. You're doing the dog sitting business. You said it kind of landed you in a way, indirectly landed you your first publishing deal. So after that, how long until you get your first cut, and like what does the grind look like now that you're signed and you're actually like working as a songwriter?
mhm. um, so I was at that company for a year and a half. It was called Catch This Music. It ran out of business. um, and that was an adventure, but I'm really glad I started there because actually the guys who were the publishers there, the funding ran out. They were doing a great job. And they have landed other places and been really successful in the industry, and I still work with them. So that's really cool. Like Brandon Purdue is one of those, and he's my best guy friend, Dallas Wilson. That's his publisher's Brandon. So like I
Cool.
there's still like key people in my life. Even though I wasn't there for very long. So that fell through. And then Sony and a couple other companies reached out to me like very quickly after that. Thank God. I was like, I don't know how long this is going to take to get another publishing deal. But thankfully, it happened really fast. And so I landed at Sony, and I've been at Sony for 5 years and just started my 6th year there. And yeah, the grind of that is like you learn how to turn your creativity on every day, you know, because for most of your life, you just write when you feel inspired before you move here. And then it's like, oh no, this is your job now. And so you better figure out how to step on the court every day and like be in game mode. And I think about songwriting like sports, honestly. I think that's just the family I come from is very sports minded. And so for me, I'm just like, yeah, like I don't think those athletes want to show up and play their best game every day, but like, guess what they do? They're in the gym, they're on the court, they're shooting the shots. Like, we better be doing the same thing. And I don't think everybody looks at it that way and takes it that seriously and like wants to prep for things like that. But that's how I have always approached the grind. And just being very disciplined, really.
Yeah.
I'm a very disciplined person, and so that's how I've approached my grind, and it's led to being prepared in the room and people liking that about me, and over like getting my reps in and getting better and better at writing a unique but commercial country song. And now I've gotten some pretty cool cuts because of that. And
Yeah.
by the grace of God, because it's a miracle to get a cut on anyone, honestly. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Who was your first cut that you were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening finally? Like, what was your first big cut?
I got pretty excited about my Gabby Barrett cut. That was like 2000. When did she first put it? It was 2020 is when that came out. And Gabby hadn't blown up yet. Like she was in the middle of I Hope blowing up. So I was her third major label release. Like she put out I Hope, then she put out The Good Ones, and then she put out a song called Hall of Fame that I wrote with her. And so yeah, I mean, like I had just been, it had been independent cut, independent cut, independent cut, and those are great too. It's just like you probably aren't going to make any money, which means your publishing company isn't going to make any money, which means they probably aren't going to keep you, for a very long time if you aren't making any money and those artists aren't popping off. So I needed some major label cuts that had some names on it, and so I like had about 3 major label cuts in like a 2 week period, like 2019. And so that was great. That's when I was like, okay, it's like starting to click. And since then, I need to like actually add it all up, but I've probably had like, I would say 50 major label cuts since then.
That's great. That's
So
great. Yeah. Get you feeling good. You finally you get one under your belt and then things just kind of start to fall into place. So
yeah, we're building the thing. We're doing
that's awesome. And
it.
so obviously, I mean, huge success with Heart Like a Truck, recorded by Lainey Wilson. So talk about that song a little bit and kind of, you mentioned the label and the publishing company wanting to have big songs, that are getting airplay. This is obviously your first number one, so congratulations on that. What is that? What does that do for you as far as your career and your mentality and kind of how things progress from here?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, those are all things you can't control. It's like there are certain things you can like look at an artist and go, oh wow, their trajectory is doing that. So like you should probably bet on that artist. And Lainey was starting to do that. But like, my gosh, to get in a room where you can like have a situation like that happen is one thing. To get in there and actually write a song is another thing. And then to convince every other person on the team that it is a hit song is a whole other thing. And then to get it cut and sent to radio and have radio accept it and play it is a whole other thing. So there are all these things that have to align that I have no control over. And so and that can drive a person crazy. But for me, I like really have had to surrender that to the Lord and the creative process itself, and just show up in sports, like play my game every day, and that's all I can control. And so, so for me, that was my whole thought process walking into the day that we wrote Heart Like a Truck. I like had that hook that I'd written down on my phone, and I was hoping that Lainey would like that idea, and she did. And we started writing it in a really up-tempo rock fun way. And about 30 minutes into the write, Lainey said, like I really like this, but I don't think it's as honest as we can be with the idea. Like I want to kind of start over, and I want to like write it from like a really raw and emotional spot. And Dallas and I were like, let's do it. I love that idea. And so Dallas started playing a vibe on guitar, and Lainey and I started singing melodies over what he was playing, and it became the chorus of Heart Like Truck. And that was in 2020. That was October 2020 that we wrote that song. And she cut it, I think like 6 months after that. And but then it didn't come out for a long time. And yeah, I mean, that song was a process. Like we knew she had told us like a year in advance that it was going to be a radio single, and that's the best news ever to hear. But with that amount of time in between, it's like, man, anything could change. She could change her mind, her label could change her mind, and they didn't. And so I just remember like her playing it for me for the first time. Like I cried because I just knew it was so good. And like what Jay Joyce, how he produced it was just so special and unique, but still commercial. And yeah, that song has just been a ride. And it'll never get old to me to see people connect with that song. And like I'm rambling now, but like over the weekend, I told you I was in Oklahoma, And I went to 4 of her shows, and every night it emotionally got to me, just watching little girls scream the words to that song and watching old men scream the words to that song, and just to see how much reach that song has ended up having, and how much it means to all different types of people. Like, that is my dream as a songwriter, is to create music that can touch all people like that. So
I think it definitely has. I've seen it on Ram truck commercials, and like you
yeah.
said, it resonates with so many people, male, female, young or old. So
Yeah.
really, congratulations on the success of that song. That's really cool to see. And also, I watched some of your social media posts, and just the sense of pride and joy on your face when when you see that song being played is like, okay, obviously she loves what she does, and she loves this song. So it's really cool to kind of see that when it actually when you're enjoying it yourself. Because I'm not a songwriter, but I always wonder, like, a big song like that, do you ever get sick of talking about it? Do you ever get sick of hearing about it or hearing it on the radio? So it's
No, that's what I worked my whole life for.
right. No, that I mean, that makes perfect sense. So but let's talk about the Heart Wranglers for a little bit now. You mentioned Dallas, you mentioned Lainey. So how did you all form this little group known as the Heart Wranglers? And, like, was that something that kind of took place before you wrote Heart Like a Truck, or how did this all transpire?
We were all friends years before the Heart Wranglers actually started writing together. Lainey's been my friend for 8 years, and Dallas and Lainey have known each other for like at least 6, like 6, 7. Dallas and I have been best friends for like 6 years. And so Dallas and I, like, Lainey and I started writing first. And we wrote a song she ended up cutting on her first EP called Middle Finger. And so that was kind of the first moment where we were like, okay, we can write stuff together that you want to cut as an artist, and that's great. So we wrote a good amount right before she got her record deal, and then after she got her record deal, and this happens sometimes. I mean, like, I get it. Like, artists, especially when you were a writer at my level, I hadn't had big success yet, and so a lot of artists suddenly are bombarded with like all the big dog writers that want to get in and write their debut record. And so a lot of those writers wrote this debut record instead. And I wasn't really writing with her at that time. And not because I didn't want to be. But ended up signing at Sony, where she was too. And about 2 years went by when we were both signed at Sony, and I hadn't written a song with her, and the team changed around. Some people went over to Universal. This Music, which was a publishing company at that time, all those publishers ended up being over at Sony now. So all that to say, like, that team was a little, like, was new to me. I was new to them. And Anna Weisband, who is Lainey's publisher, I just asked her one day, I was like, hey, can I have a couple days with Lainey? I'd like really love to get back in the room with her. I think we could write some great songs together. And Anna said, yeah, let's try that. And it was just perfect timing, because she was in between records. She had time to write. I think she wanted to like try some new things. And so that's how the Heart Wranglers got together. Is Anna agreed to like a day for me and Lainey. Dallas had been wanting the 3 of us to write together, because Dallas and I had a special thing going. And so the 3 of us finally get together in October 2020, and we wrote Heart Like Truck. That was the first song we ever wrote together. And since then, so like, thank you, Jesus, for that song and that combo happening. Because since then we've written, I don't even know how many songs, like a lot of songs. Since then we've gone on several retreats together, and this next record is going to be, I can already tell you it's going to be very good. It's going to be very fun. And the three of us have written a lot of it together. So,
Well, we can't wait to hear it for sure. I know you obviously mentioning the next record. You talked a little bit about Dan and Shay. Anything else you've got in the works that you can disclose that we might be able to expect your name to be attached to anytime soon?
I'm trying to think. I need to like look at my list of cuts coming out because I don't remember right now.
Oh, you're looking for that. I'll add one of the things I love about following you on social media is lately I've been seeing when you have new music release, you always post the voice memos for like those days that the songs were written, and that's so cool to see and experience. If you're a fan of of music at all, just kind of see that whole process unravel and kind of hear how it started versus what it sounds like as a finished product. It's really cool. So I appreciate your transparency with that, and it's really cool to when you post those things. I'm like, okay, this is really sweet.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. I like doing that because it means a lot to me too. Like any cut I get, I'm so thankful for it and I want to share the story and it's kind of like I look at Instagram like my scrapbook. You know what I mean? It's like I want to go back and remember um what it looked like when we wrote the song and what it felt like and where we were and when it was and like where the inspiration came from and I want to remember those things when I'm an old lady. You know.
That's a really cool way to do it.
Yeah, and like the fact that that fans and friends get to enjoy that look behind the process too is very meaningful to me. I mean, like it means as much to me as it does to other people, and that's really amazing. Anyway, okay, so I won't say like titles because I just don't know if I can, but I have like a Mitchell Tenpenny song coming out, Lily Rose, Tierra. She's gonna take one of those to radio, which will be fun too. Some Tenniel Art, some Runaway June, some Dylan James.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then I mean the Dan and Shay thing I'm very excited about. So I don't know when they're releasing that record, but they have
Cool. No, that's
started teasing that they are on.
right. Yeah. I saw that recently. That's cool. I'll be going to see them next month. So it'll be fun. But yeah, no, that's really cool. A lot of good stuff coming up for you. So appreciate you sharing that. And we'll let you get back to your day. I think I really enjoyed talking to you and kind of getting to know you a little bit. And
Yeah, you too.
it's been a lot of fun. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with us. And really looking forward to the continued success. So good luck to you, and looking forward to hearing some more.
Thank you, and I hope the same for you. I hope your website and your social media takes off, and yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks again, Trannie.
Bye.